It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. They want more. Crying babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued when the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every clue. Let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Listen to the streets. People in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. Then I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguise is religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. All they really want is a war.
Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the oil, man, you know they want more, but they want to keep you low, so they manifest the war. Yo, what's up, folks? I'm back, and I've been a little late. Sorry about the last couple of days, 2 days. I was kind of, I was really caught up with work and a few other things. So, but nonetheless, we are here, and it is what it is. Same old shit that's been going on with the Trump administration is still going on, except there's more stuff. I mean, this administration, essentially, you can expect anything, which I guess in a sick kind of way, that would be called, exciting, in Danish, that would be called spending it. You know what I'm saying? But this shit ain't exciting when your life is on the line. This is more like terror. It's more like a horror show. And but eventually it's going to end. And guess what? I think a lot of Americans are getting to the point, slowly, it took them some time, but they're getting to the point where, it is ending. You can't pull the wool over people's eyes, but so long, even the cult members, fantasy comes to an end at some point, but you can't tell me that ICE enjoys going to work without being paid. Keep in mind, they're on a 2-week payday. They get paid every other week. So they don't get one whole check at one time that lasts them through the whole time. No, they get a half a check. And it's up to them how they monitor their money. And as they know, there's no guarantee about health care. You know what I'm saying? And even if the Republicans get it the way that they want it to be and the way that they putting their foot down, like, yo, we don't need you. Who the hell are you, Democrats? Who the hell are you, stinking liberal? We're going to take your health care and we're going to start off by taking them from the people that need it the most. Those people on Obamacare. Yes, the red states. I mean, they got their chest stuck out so much that they can step on their own goddamn voters. And we're not even talking about liberal. We're talking about MAGA voters. They come out of the gate. Trump comes out the gate every morning like, we gonna stomp on you. And the MAGA people be like, yay, yay. We just hope you get some liberals too. I mean, it's like that. It's a, chopping your nose off to spite your face type of dynamic. And that is like a nightmare for everyone else to watch. I mean, if you're in Venezuela, to you, that cut off your nose to spite your face shit looks like Trump bombing fishing vessels, here and there out in your territory. I mean, first of all, I want to apologize to every Venezuelan, no matter no matter what political party you're with, no matter any of those details, no matter what background you're with, just Venezuelans are fellow Americans, period. Their culture is not really that different or history than United States Americans and all the rest of us. So, as an American from the United States, I want to apologize for this wacko of a president. It's not about agreeing. You don't have to agree with U.S. policy. You don't have to agree with Democrats or Republicans or the United States history. You don't have to agree with none of that. But what we can all agree on, or what some of us Americans can agree on with you Venezuelans, is that this one you got right now is a bit extra. Trump is a bit extra, and he is fucking the most shamefulest. I mean, I'd rather go to war with somebody that makes more sense, to be honest with you. I mean, really, at least you could have maybe some respect there. But with Trump, there's no respect. It's just a straight up lunatic who's got his keys on the United States, apparatuses, the government, and he's letting it do what it do as a madman. And for that, I apologize. And I don't give a shit what other Americans, these MAGA people think about it, or whatever your political party is. We can't be out there trying to fucking go around and kill other Americans, just attack other people's sovereignty, attack, especially, look, forget attacking people's sovereignty anywhere. How the hell can you defend Ukraine and at the same time step on somebody else's sovereignty? How can you, and we're not even defending Ukraine anymore. Trump is like, fuck Ukraine. Outside of just coming to the table saying the same bullshit every other month. Yeah, we want to stop it. Yeah. Whatever. We know Trump doesn't really care what happens in Ukraine, but let's just say, for argument's sake, if he cared about Ukraine or anyone cared about Ukraine, then you would obviously not be the one that does what Trump is doing in Venezuela. But not saying Trump gives a shit about Ukraine. Obviously, he doesn't, because obviously the whole thing is about sovereignty, right? And this guy, I mean, if it's not about sovereignty with Ukraine, then what the fuck is it about? And this guy goes to his own neighbor, Venezuelans. Yes, Venezuelans are our neighbor. United States of America's neighbor, right? Mexicans are in there, but Venezuela, they're also they're South Americans. We have family, we have blood together. We're literally the same goddamn people, like literally, you see. And it's extra special when you go out there with your chest all stuck out and just start blowing up vessels in their water. I mean, that's extra special. So again, I apologize, but to fellow Venezuelans and fellow South Americans and fellow human beings, goddamn, fuck it. The whole world, I apologize for Trump, for us having a stupid, sicko president. But it is really telling, because let's just keep it real. If you don't stomp out corruption in its smaller forms, it ultimately comes out to this. And let there be no mistake. With the United States, is an example of right now is they let the right wing go so far out of shape that they lived out their destiny. And their destiny was to rip down the United States of America, to show you what the real problem is. And yes, the problem is that right wing. I mean, that right wing has no loyalty to the Constitution. It has no loyalty to its own safety, its own sovereignty. This right wing gave the United States of America to Elon Musk, a naturalized American, and gave it away to Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel got three passports, three different citizenships, and these MAGA people claiming nationalism just gave the country to them. They just gave all this power and access to Elon Musk, person who has three different citizenships. That shows you what these American United States nationalists are really about. They ain't about shit. They are not about anything. They're not about political differences. They're not about, the difference between, a free democracy and having fair elections and then, the difference between authoritarianism. No, they don't give a shit about authoritarianism. They up Putin's ass. They are literally up Putin's ass. So, but I would say this for they're an embarrassment for Americans. I know I don't normally come out and just say this much, in the opening about how embarrassed I am to be a fucking American, but a U.S. American, a United States American. But I'm embarrassed. I have to apologize to everyone in the world. And I'm not saying that there's not a lot of people that have troubles and problems and do shit foul, but I'm fucking apologizing because this president we have is every bit of an example of what we claim to not like about other countries. Fuck Trump, period. And fuck JD Vance, period. They are phonies. Complete, utter fucking phonies. I mean, nothing in the Constitution was made for them. Nothing. They have no principles. They have no morals. They are phonies, and at least a person you don't agree with, at least they could be real. But these motherfuckers are just phony. They're just phony. There's nothing nationalistic about them. What they are a bunch of greedy bastards who know that, just like in JD Vance's book, where he pointed out the flaws of these, Appalachian Mountain folk, that they have a lot of pride and their pride gets used in some bad ways. Yes, their pride gets used in some bad ways. They're easily played on their pride, like simple people and all over the world can be played by their pride. You can come up to them and say some of the stupidest things, just speak towards their level of pride, which is very simple-minded pride, and you can steal everything from them. Look at Trump. Trump bows down to anybody who just speaks to his stupid level of pride. He gives them anything that they want. That's Trump for you, And this shit is going to fall as an example to every other right-wing government that there is in the world, especially to have issues with corruption, especially to have issues with security. I mean, they came in and they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to buy up these social media outlets, and we're going to preach to the heart of those Appalachian people wherever they live across the world. The people that feel like something's been stolen from them. But it's not rational. Not always rational. I mean, I'm not saying there's not issues with people. Fair enough. All people have issues. And I'm not trying to say there's no problems. But goddamn, when you literally believe that you're going to let a person with three different passports go into your Treasury Department and look around, you're going to let a person with three different passports have this much influence in your country getting federal contracts, that should be a problem for any free country around the world, and also Western countries. And thank God they did something different. They said, get the fuck out, Elon Musk. That's actually what the EU did. The United States didn't learn the lesson. You have to pay. You have to pay for being irrational. and you have to pay for not stomping out corruption. That's what this is all about here. So again, fellow Americans, Canadians, I'm sorry for us U.S. Americans. Mexicans, I'm sorry for us U.S. Americans. Central America, South America, all of you, Native people across the entire Americas, we are sorry for this president because obviously this man wants to sell out any land for a price tag. So again, sorry, fuck Trump, and we're gonna take it from there. Yeah, and fuck JD Vance also. But in line with this, right? There is some interesting developments that happen, and where do we start? I know we starting off with some of the races, but there's one story in line with this issue with Venezuela that's pretty telling. And of course, MAGA people don't give a shit about this because it's their pride. All you got to do is talk to their pride. And that's what matters to them. But if you try to get rational and say something that has a little bit of meaning and purpose, you might be, they won't really take that great of a look at it. But let's pull this up and see. Let me see here. This is not anything for them. This is not for the MAGA folk. So if you're a MAGA supporter, close your eyes. Don't worry about this part. Put the shit on pause or fast forward and we will get to it. Let me see here. Is it this? No. It's not that. Let me take that off. Go back. Is it this? Is it this? No. Here we go. Okay. One. Let me also go to this one. This is the big story right here. Boom. This commander just stepped down. And again, to MAGA folk, they don't give a shit because, of course, any Negro, any black man didn't earn his way in his position. So he doesn't count. His years of experience, his record doesn't count because, he's black. So he's DEI. So no need to even take a little look or even consider his story or any of this shit. But he did step down, even for the people that don't give a shit. And he's the head of the U.S. military Southern Command. He stepped down, and it is due to this shit with Venezuela. And he makes a whole lot of sense because it's very simple. Venezuelans are fellow Americans. It's just that simple. Colombians are fellow Americans. It's just that simple. Mexicans are fellow Americans. Canadians are fellow Americans. We have history and blood lines with these people. So to insult them by just blowing up little fishing boats or just blowing them up, period, without evidence, without process, without giving them the right to a trial, is disrespectful. It's against human rights laws. It's against our treaties with our fellow Americans. It's illegal. It's a fucking war crime, and it's fucking wrong. And I'm just saying, Venezuelan people, whatever you do, just understand that there's different kind of United States of Americans. And the ones like myself, or at least mine, an American born in Washington, D.C., whose family goes back to the colonial period, which is why I can talk about different Americans and us all being connected, because I recognize the colonial period as being a period where people came from Europe, colonized America, where a lot of Native Americans were killed off and died off. A lot of animals, a lot of territory was taken, and a lot of Africans were brought to the United States to be slaves in the colonial period. 400, 500 years ago, starting in South America. It didn't start in North America. Okay, Central America. Many of us have been sold and moved around. Many of the people that were slave masters, moved around from island to island, from island to mainland. You know, if you know the real history of the United States of America, you know that. But if you're one of these dumb fuck, fake ass bastards, what's his name, Stephen Miller, right? Second generation. If you're one of these pieces of shit like Trump, third generation that think you're better than everybody else, that actually want to pretend like your skin means something when it doesn't fucking mean a goddamn thing. Doesn't mean shit about your heritage. Take a DNA test if you want to start talking that racist shit. Prove who you are. You could be a white person that has African, an African grandmother. You could be a white person that has an Arab grandmother. You could be a white person that has a Chinese grandmother. People hiding behind this skin color and making it seem like they automatically have something to do with the United States of America or building up any place on earth. Where's your DNA test? Where's your DNA test? Prove it. Prove it. People want proof today. They don't want talk. But in any case, this brother here, he stepped the hell down. Admiral Alvin Halsey is leaving less than a year into his tenure, and the Pentagon escalates attacks against boats in the Caribbean Sea. Yeah, that's such an interesting thing. They just escalate attacks. And here comes this weirdo. Now listen to what he says. They say some weird ass shit here, man. Oh, actually, is this not it? Hold on. Stephen Miller was giving some speech. He gave a speech. Damn, I don't have a speech. And he gave a speech. And where was the speech he gave? He gave a speech. Damn, was it where was it? It wasn't a Young Republicans meeting. It was some meeting where it was some event where a bunch of right wingers where he was there talking about their heritage. Stephen Miller's, he came, he was in Eastern Europe. He came because Russians were killing Jews. Nazis and Russians were killing Jews. His family fled that period, came to the United States of America and got financial help and support from every American, every tax-paying American who had already been in the United States of America. Native Americans, Hispanic Americans, African Americans, Asian Americans, all of them when working and paying taxes in the 1940s and 50s, part of their tax money that they worked for went to help his family resettle in the United States of America. And he wants to talk about heritage. Why? What the fuck does his heritage have to do with it? Is it his color that he's talking about? Because this man comes from a Jewish family, and most Jewish people are not down with the shit that he says. You see, but he's claiming a whole fucking lot. He's claiming to have the same heritage, that United States of Americans have the same heritage as who? Who is he talking about? Some made up heritage? He needs to get a DNA test. But in any case, that's what they've been up to and defending these messages. I mean, the right wing is pretending like they're not down with racism. They don't know what racism is. They never heard of that before. They're totally shocked. They're totally shocked about racism existing. How could someone write these kind of things? The N-word and how could they do that? This is a conversation for 2025. Are we shocked that the right wing has this kind of stuff coming out of it? I mean, everyone has known this. If you're a real American, you know if you're a real American, this is not new at all. This is just like a big game. These weirdos, man. They want to pretend like they have nothing to do with racism, No. The right wing, nothing to do with racism. Where did that come from? And in the Supreme Court, they just heard oral arguments on the 15th of this month where they ask a question. I'm going to play the videotape. I played it once where Judge Kavanaugh is pondering the question of, yeah, when does the Voting Rights Act end? Because, we're post-slavery, we're post-racism, aren't we? Post-racism? Yeah, and then all of a sudden this shit pops up. Is this post-racism? Is this post-racism? Judge Kavanaugh? Judge Kavanaugh, woohoo, where you at? We should end the Voting Rights Act because it's post-racism now, right? Sure, it's post-racism, Judge Kavanaugh. I mean, everyone is going to know. Everyone know that's some bullshit, right? Everyone knows that's some bullshit. If it's post-racism, then why do you have these little clubs of grown-ass men that are Republicans actually out there at the same time Judge Kavanaugh, at the same time the Supreme Court is like talking about ending the Voting Rights Act? These people are just in their private meetings, on their private chats, really, really going hard, like really going hard on to prove that they're racist and to prove that they believe in the Nazi party, to prove this shit. Like, listen, it's 2025. If you still believe in the Nazi party, you are an ignorant dumbass. You are just dumb. You believe in make-believe fantasy land. That's what you believe in, fantasy. And with believing in fantasy comes your own destruction. Period. Whether you like it or not, people don't even have to fight against you because what you believe in is complete and utter phoniness. But nonetheless.
Politico reported on a group chat of a bunch of young Republicans. I'm wondering your thoughts on that, and does this reflect, is it just some bad young apples in this chat, or do you think that there's a toxicity around the entire party?
Some bad apples. These are the future of the Republican Party. This was so vile. It is hard to find the words to put into context that these are people who are part of a political party, one of two major political parties, and they believe in gas chambers and rape and discrimination based on the color of people's skins. These are racist, sexist, disgusting remarks. And I would say this. We have a leader from the Republican Party in this state, the highest ranking individual, who in the backdrop of all this calls our candidate for mayor, one of our candidates for mayor, a jihadist and a terrorist. And then somehow says, oh, what they said, these young Republicans, was wrong. Like, look at what you say yourself. Look at your inflammatory words. And maybe they have an effect on these young people, many of whom you support and have supported you. And you ought to just do a little re-examination of how far this has gone, where this is normalized enough that thousands of texts are uncovered. This is not one person saying they love Hitler. This is a whole lot of people saying things that are so disgusting and so abhorrent that everybody from the president on down should condemn them. And there's got to be consequences. Kick them out of the party. Take away their official roles. Stop using them as campaign advisors. There needs to be consequences.
Yeah, there needs to be consequences. But look, I'm at the point myself where I'm like, I'm not looking for consequences personally myself. Like, if you live in a rational world, you would, in a healthy world, you would think there would be consequences. But look, me and myself, I don't think anybody should beg these people to smarten up. I say die fucking dumb and die fucking racist. Because look at these people. We have to remind ourselves that these people use Obamacare more than anyone else, yet are so ignorant. They don't even realize the person that feeds their little racist tropes to them every day, like doggy biscuits, literally, that they fall for every single day. He's the one that's about to take their health care. He's the one that doesn't believe they should have a decent wage for a decent day's work. It's Trump who actually doesn't believe these people should have affordable housing. He doesn't even believe they should have access to education. It's them who are the goddamn fools. So I'm not begging, just like I'm not dragging anybody to the well to drink any water. It's not my responsibility. I have kids myself that I take care of and I love, right? That I have a responsibility to. Yeah, I have a responsibility to my overall community to contribute to it positively, which I do every day when I go out, right? But to drag a goddamn fool anywhere? Oh, hell fucking no. If you voted for Trump and you're MAGA and you still are dumb enough to believe in him, I'm like, go right ahead. Believe in him. You won't exist soon. You will not exist. And this little thing about this little card that they pull up, the swastika card, the race card, the whiteness test, man, you motherfuckers are failing the whiteness test. Like, where's your DNA? Where's your DNA test? Prove it to me. I doubt I will be believing it. You all are no whiter than any other fucking American who's not white because your color doesn't dictate your heritage. You best believe that, especially in the United States of America. Your color does not dictate your heritage. And on top of it, it definitely doesn't mean you had anything to do with anything positive about the United States of America. A lot of these morons think like Steve Miller. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not into this whole you have to, your family has to be like mine. Like, I don't believe your family should have to be from the colonial period like mine is to be a true American. I believe it's about your belief system and your knowledge. To be a true American, it has to be based specifically on your knowledge of the continent and the country you come from. How well do you do? And I guarantee you, a lot of these people would fail a history test. Like, they would fail hard. Like, and they definitely would fail in any history test with me personally about the global history, period. American history and European history, you will fail in some sort of competition with me. Most of these MAGA people know nothing about Western civilization, know nothing about America, know nothing about European history. They just pose like it. Because, see, to know European history, to know American history, to know global history has nothing to do with your goddamn race. It has everything to do with your real interest. And you can't ever convince me that anyone that is so dumb to vote against their own health care could teach me shit anyway. The only thing you could teach me is how to be ignorant, and I refuse to be taught. You see what I mean? I just refuse to be taught. You see, so they don't stand on any real clear ground. But it makes total fucking sense because, after all, look at what the Nazi Party did. They were a complete utter catastrophe, just like Trump. A few elitists, some rich folk wanted to hoard all the wealth. What did they do? Hitler went and he got this story. He remembers the story when he was growing up, about the Elders of Zion, right? The Russian book, the Russian propaganda book that they used to kill Jews before the Nazis started killing Jews. And he believed a lot of these stories in that book, in that propaganda book, written by the Tsar, created by the Tsar himself in Russia to kill Russian Jews. Hitler just learned the scam. He learned the scam himself and used it on the German people. And the German people picked it up, fell for it because just like the MAGA people, you speak to their heart. You speak to the poor whites. Is basically what he was speaking to. But he knew he was manipulating them. He knew it was a game. He knew it was about classism. You see? So he got them to commit those atrocities, split them up, use them and say that the others think they're better than you and all of this. Blame one thing, blame the economy on the Jews, when really it's just corruption, blame it on corruption, a bunch of corrupt people. Same thing. Where are the Jews? Who are the Jews in the American context then? Who are the people stealing the American wealth right now? See, today we have documentation. You see, back then It was barely there wasn't even color TV. You see what I mean? Messages didn't spread. Information didn't spread fast. Today, you know who it is. You see, you know who it is. It's a fable that they made up. There's no bad. The bad guy is in the White House and just wants more money. And it's so easy to see. It's so easy to see. You see what I mean? Trump doesn't give a damn about these poor white Americans at all. It is plain to see. Very plain to see. MAGA Mike Johnson goes out there talking about able-bodied men, able-bodied men. Who do you think he's talking about? He's talking about poor white men. Largely uneducated. Seriously, largely uneducated. Which is wild, but it's true. Largely uneducated, knowing nothing about much at all. Angry, but not knowing a whole lot about much at all. And I could understand them being angry, but this thing about not knowing much at all, they better change. They better start learning about how wealthy people use them, use their anger, use their pain, use their dissatisfaction. How they use it to their own advantage, to make some dough, basically, to make some dough, because they don't give a damn about them. Who's the guy who came up with all these Sandy Hook scams? The lies about Sandy Hook, the dude who has the YouTube page, Alex, what's his name? I mean, a lot of these people, they literally listen to that dude and actually think he knows what he's talking about, and he doesn't know shit.
Among the MAGAs, a lack of education is common, leading to a limited understanding of the world around them. This undereducation fuels their reliance on misinformation and conspiracy theories as they struggle to differentiate fact from fiction in their environment.
Yeah, this is facts right here. I mean, this is facts. I would be stupid to let Trump make me hate them as a black man, as a man with some color, right, on his skin, a person you would see and be like, this guy's black, right? Now, I would be a fool if I was angry at these people, because these people ain't even that goddamn serious. See, if people wanted them dead, they would fucking be dead, because they're not that smart. They're not that smart. They're not so educated to the wicked ways of the world, let alone Trump. You see what I mean? Trump is a new level of wickedness. They don't even recognize it. They don't recognize Trump is the third generation American who doesn't give a fuck about them. Period. They just don't realize that, because their minds are so simple. They don't think, they never heard of elitism. They never thought of that. Like they couldn't imagine that there could be a person like Trump that's like, fuck this, me and my family first. And you know what? The rest of y'all don't count. You have to remember, Trump came out of that penthouse every day. In the days that he came out there with his dad or whatever, got in the limousine, they gave some poor homeless guy a penny, basically, and went on with their day. And Donald was probably like, damn, my daddy's a nice guy. He gave a homeless guy a penny. You know what I'm saying? This kind of thing. And if that homeless guy looked like them, it is what it is. You see what I'm saying? He wouldn't give it any more of a shit more. He wouldn't care any more or less. But so I would never hate them, because they're paying for this motherfucker Trump just like me. It's something called beat the beater. I'm not supposed to hate the person who's in the same situation I am, or even down in a worse situation as me. Look, I'm gonna be honest. These MAGA people are in a worse situation than me. Right? But then again, I'm not saying that's everybody. But when I look at them, I look at some dude, look at this cheap ass jacket he got on. Look at these jeans. This is just regular shit. How much does this shit cost? You see what I mean? What kind of lifestyle are they really living? When you go in there, you realize, yo, man, these guys ain't doing good. These families aren't doing that good. They're not doing that good. They're struggling. But I know who's doing very, very well. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, off of our tax dollars. Off of our tax dollars. And they're hidden all the way back there. They hidden away. You can't get anywhere near them. But anybody can get near these people here. You see what I'm saying? So I would be a fool. I'm not a fool. Any MAGA person can hate me. That only makes you the goddamn fool. I don't hate these people. I know these people aren't the target. These people can't do shit for me. These people can't do shit for me. Listen, look.
Among the MAGAs, a lack of education is common, leading to a limited understanding of the world around them. This undereducation fuels their reliance on misinformation and conspiracy theories as they struggle to differentiate fact from fiction.
I mean, they're not serious. They're not serious. They are not serious at all. And Trump is robbing them. And you know what? Yo, man, I mean, if you're that dumb where you can't figure out Trump doesn't give a shit about you, I feel sorry for you. You know, I have no choice but to feel sorry for you because it is literally that. Trump does not give a damn about them. It's just that simple. They don't give a damn. It's a scam. They're making money. They have contracts with the government. They can talk it up. They're benefiting. They're getting everything that they need. You know, they're getting everything that they need. And I could see why they would be a little confused because look, then you have this, right? You have these other so-called, you know, young Republicans, right? And this is like where you get into the classism because these are not your average MAGA folk here. These are the ones that aspire to be like Trump, aspire to what? Use the system to get private contracts, use the population, just kind of use racist tropes because they know that's an easy way to get someone to, you know, if they want to be like Charlie Kirk, go out there and make some money, that's what they can do. If they want to be a pawn to a politician, they can do that, or they can maybe become a politician one day. So these are the ones that actually aspire to be more than just a guy working on a farm, a guy in the Midwest don't have a job, a guy who's, you know, a carpenter or something like that, a guy with just your regular job, you know, a guy who's a plumber, you know what I'm saying, electrician. If you're lucky, average. We're talking about average, right? A guy who needs Obamacare, for example. That's not who these people want to be. That's these people who do this. They're a little bit. They aspire to be more. They aspire to be the elitist who use racist tropes. That's it. You know, racist tech scandal explodes in the White House as mob boss staffer goes scorched earth with twisted revenge plot. Yes, it's really true. Like they knew about it and they decided, hey, let's get the person who leaked the story. But this is just something that they use. They just use all this shit and the cat is out of the bag. Listen, MAGA people need to understand, all of you all with these swastikas and these little fairy tale stories about how you built up the United States, and really a lot of it is false. Look, I mean, again, over and over and over, you find out that many of them are first and second generation Americans. Like, goddamn, they talking about 1778. Your ancestors weren't anywhere close to being around, a lot of them. Sean Hannity, second generation American. Sean Hannity's like one of the biggest right-wing podcasters. He's on Trump's nuts. He's like on this whole 1770, you know, our founding fathers. He knew nothing about it. He doesn't even, his family was not even anywhere near the America, let alone the United States of America, let alone the founding fathers, let alone anywhere close to that time period, not the Civil War, nothing. You know, it's a charade. Look at this. Look at this shit. The damaging leak exposed onto the national stage on Tuesday after Politico obtained 2,900 pages, including text which showed top brass at the New York State Young Republican Club calling black people monkeys. And as a black person, after a while, you just have to, I hate to say this, but you have to laugh at it because 2025 inside of the United States, a country that is more diverse than most countries. I mean, America is a very diverse place. America. All countries in America are pretty diverse. More diverse than a lot of other places around the world. Yes. And yet, with all that diversity, all that historic diversity to draw from, these are still the little things that are supposed to go around and make people feel bad. Monkey, ha 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 ha, yeah, just monkeys. These are things they tell themselves. These are these old tropes. So like somehow remember the old trope where it was like Africans are more closely related to monkeys. This is what they taught in the Enlightenment period. But that was in the 1700s. And this is 2025. And they're still like drawing from that kind of inspiration. That shows you that this is a pathetic type of logic. Because today, since people got DNA, can see people's DNA and examine it, they know that this shit is bullshit. People have to stop trying to claim shit that has nothing to do with them, really. And when you're looking at MAGA, a lot of it has that. At least if you're going to claim it all, claim the stupidity too, right? If you're going to claim the great part, claim the dumb part also. Look at this. Senior White House figures urge Wax to retract his leak last week as a word of Politico scoop spread according to the right. So they were thinking more about who spread this story. But look, it's not a secret. It's not a secret. Everybody knows who these people are. Everyone knows the kind of things they say. And that tells you how pathetic they are. Because what intelligent people, what serious people have the time to do what they're doing about anybody? About anybody. I don't have it in me. This is dumb. This is just dumb. These things. If they believe these things, you know where they're going to be? They're going to be in a world of trouble the moment any of them need things. You need some health care. Who do you think is going to be taking care of you? You need some elder care. Who do you think is going to be there? You see what I mean? A lot of these people don't think past it. I mean, they think that they're living in a time and space where that is befitting these kind of ideas, and it isn't. It just doesn't exist anymore. People around the world are past this point, especially in the West. People are past this shit. I mean, this is to have this kind of problem is like it's showing you don't elevate too quickly. You see what I mean? Like this is so 1950s to be saying anything like this. Look at all these people's faces. They all need DNA tests. I guarantee you, none of these people are the same people. None of them have the same heritage. A lot of them look very, very mixed. Like they have something else, in there. It's not this so-called, I heard, look at this guy. This guy's so funny. Stephen Miller is talking about his, history goes back to Athens, Sure, prove it, motherfucker. Where's your DNA test at? Where's your DNA test? That's what I say. Where the moment you start talking this ethnic shit, I say, where is your DNA test? Don't ever believe people. Don't ever believe people, because people have the tendency to try to claim the great shit and not claim the bad shit. You see what I mean? Like, you really don't know. Any of these people might have had ancestors that were slaves, right? Ancestors that were, you never really know. You never really know about looks. You have to take a DNA test. I heard some jokes on YouTube. Some of the podcasters, some of my who was it? I think this was Adam Mockler for one. Who else? Eric. What's the guy's name? Eric. Damn, what's the guy's name? I can't even believe I'm forgetting his name now. But he's from DC also, right? And they're talking about their looks. Like they had some chats in here where they were saying, trying to trying to insinuate that liberals, aren't macho enough. They don't get they're not man. You know, what do they call it? Manly enough, or and look at these folks right here, man. This shit looks ridiculous. This looks ridiculous. These are the ones that's going to, lead the liberation for Athens. These are the leaders. These are the ones who are on the front line with the spear, with the sword and the shield. These are the brave ones that are gonna, that that carry the throne. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. And I'm sorry, I have to laugh at this. I know that there's serious consequences because for people who believe this kind of stuff, the stuff that they write, that is the sad part of it. There's a lot of people that listen and think these things. And like I told you, everybody wants to claim the good shit. Nobody wants to claim the bad parts, Yeah, but in any case, this guy here, Mr. Stephen Miller, they've been taking some hits. And the hits that they've been taking are on this ICE shit. Number one, ICE is not getting paid right now. Congress knew that would happen. The Republicans knew that would happen. They do this shit every year. These congressional members do this every year and have to vote on funding the government. So they knew this time of year was coming up again and again. It happens more than once. And they have to fund different parts of the government. So they knew this was coming, and so now ICE isn't getting paid. This will be the second week they don't get paid. And my advice is everybody that encounters some ICE, just ask them, say, hey, how does it feel to not get paid? Just ask them that. Everybody should ask them that. How does it feel to not get paid? And also ask them, by the way, ICE, you work for ICE, do you think Trump should do anything about this regarding your payment or not? Right? Because don't ask the liberals to do shit for you. Okay? Because you didn't respect liberals. Yeah, actually, you came to liberals' towns and arrested citizens, belittled people, tied up little kids, kidnapped little kids. You even kicked out citizens. So guess what happens now? The liberals, those very people that you didn't respect, they have the key to your life now. They have the key to your life. So how does it feel? Because you really don't get paid that much. You see, and you depend on healthcare also. You see, does your check pay enough to where you can afford these hikes in healthcare? That's what I would be. Everybody out there, that's what I would be asking any ICE person in your neighborhood. Ask them that on a megaphone too, while you follow them around in the street. That's what I would do. Okay, let me see here. Let me get this one going.
Has it not? Yet the men and women of the National Guard remain here in the streets instead of being at home.
Well, it's a great example, but not in the way that you phrased it. So I know you all have questions, but it's a
but
great,
why?
it's a
But
great,
I think that's where if
no,
you're a democratic
like,
city,
right,
you're
like,
looking at Washington D.C. and
like,
saying,
yeah,
right, they complied. There is no mass protest. The crime. President Trump said it's a crime-free city now. So why are the National Guard remaining? And that is why they're such an affront.
You're adjacent to a great point.
You see that? So. Exactly. Everyone's heard Trump go out there and say, oh, well, Washington, D.C. is clean now. So why is the military still there? If the city's crime free now, like Trump says, why is the military still there? And so, again, so he can't answer that question. Is that a reason for a liberal to vote yeah for the Republican funding for these ICE people so they can get paid? Should liberals, knowing that although the job is complete, that you have no problem with the National Guard remaining in somebody's city? Does that make it does that give a liberal some inspiration to go ahead and agree with the Republican funding plan? Probably not. That would be highly ignorant to do. That would be, I know if I was the person you needed to vote, I definitely would not sign shit because you aren't even keeping up your bargain. They've sent out National Guard to D.C. to make it crime free. Trump announces it's crime free now, and yet the National Guard is still there. Why should any other city trust you with the National Guard? Why should anyone else think that you plan on, removing the National Guard once crime is free? No, everybody would have to believe that you're doing this because of the election, the midterm elections. Like, that's what I would think. They want to fuck over people. And I don't think people should trust anybody should trust the Trump administration with the National Guard. National Guard, if you're listening, go along with, say whatever it is you got to say, but, be very passive about what your job and what you do, because they're literally asking you to violate the law, to violate the Constitution. They're literally asking you, they want to put you in a situation where there's a conflict. So Trump can say, now I can have now I can claim to invoke, these extra privileges. Now we can shut it down and say that, we get to now we get to call back the Second Amendment, tell people to turn in their guns. Like, seriously, this is the kind of shit that they're thinking, So I would be asking.
ICE agents can now be arrested in Chicago and throughout Cook County, Illinois, if they try and arrest anyone who is going to court. Now, this is effective.
Exactly, martial law, the Insurrection Act. Exactly, Ming Ho. Everybody knows that's why he's sending out the National Guard. That's why he's sending out the military, because everyone knows it's a violation of the Constitution. So, of course, people in their own communities would be like, scared, would also be like, what the fuck is going on? And then on top of it, look at ICE's behavior. He's sending the National Guard out to protect ICE, who are not even following the law. No. That's a setup. So luckily, liberals, Democrats know, and they've been spreading the message that to try not to go for their bullshit. Try not to let them provoke you. A normal person would feel provoked, but don't fall for it, because, of course, he's only sending the military out there hoping that something bad happens so he can declare martial law. The gig is up, basically. Everyone knows that it's a scam because, look, he sent the military out to D.C. Trump said D.C.'s crime-free now, and yet he still have the military there. So the whole game plan is spelled out. But recently, this is also what happened. Now, in regards to Chicago, ICE has been ordered by a judge to do a few things.
ICE agents can now be arrested in Chicago and throughout Cook County, Illinois, if they try and arrest anyone who is going to court. Now, this is effective today. Cook County Circuit Chief Judge Timothy Evans signed the order effective today that bans civil arrests of any party, witness, or potential witness going to court proceedings. ICE agents are also barred from making arrests in parking lots, sidewalks, surrounding entryways, inside courtrooms, without a judicial order. ICE agents are also barred from making arrests in parking lots, sidewalks, surrounding entryways to courthouses, inside courtrooms, without a judicial order. ICE agents also cannot make arrests of any individuals going to a court proceeding, attending a court proceeding, or returning home from a court proceeding. Why is this all happening? Because of everything that's been going on in Chicago and in Cook County, and quite frankly, throughout the United States, but this particular order is only for Cook County, and Chicago is part of Cook County. But everything that's been going on, ICE agents are in plain clothes. They're storming courthouses like animals. They refuse to identify themselves. They refuse to share which agency they work for. They do not, most of the time, ever have a warrant. And they're treating people like animals. So this can no longer happen without a judicial warrant in Cook County. Now we'll see what the rest of the country does, at least other Democratic areas, but who knows? I will definitely keep you updated on all of this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so like Ming, like you were saying, who wants to bet that they don't try to continue to break the law? And of course they will, because this is a situation where they want a reaction from the public. So in my view right now, what needs to happen is that the police, like they said, ICE can now be locked up by the Chicago police if they break the laws, right? And my advice to police officers around the country is lock their ass up. Like, really, lock them up when they break the law. When they're breaking somebody's Fourth Amendment right, when they're doing all of these things, just any procedure, you lock someone up, you have to read them their Miranda rights. Secondly, you need to have a real means of knowing how you can verify who the person is faster than what they're doing. They're locking people up for 3 and 4 days for what? You see, and the moment someone says they're a citizen, in my mind, that should mean you shouldn't have the right to take them at all. You can make the local police verify who they are. You shouldn't have the right to take anyone who says they're a citizen, period. Anybody who says they're there lawfully, like there to even go to court, even to have a court hearing, they should be allowed to have the court hearing and then have the court decide what their fate is. Not some ICE agent just throwing them up. They've already been allowed and permitted to be there. You see, now, if they were never documented at all, that's another thing, in my view. But if they actually went to ask for stay and were granted stay under this Biden program, you shouldn't be able to just take them. They need to have need to be allowed to have their own court hearings when they come and be called by an actual court, a legitimate court, not just taken. So, but in any case, again, you can always ask ICE too, how are you doing? How does it feel to not get paid a second paycheck? Do you want Trump to do anything about that, or are you fine with how things are? Yeah, and do you think how you behave in Chicago or in other parts of the country is going to help you get your check faster? Or do you think it helps liberals say, maybe we shouldn't agree so fast? Those questions can be asked, I think they're fair questions, Do you see ICE agent ramming the truck? Yeah, I saw that. That is crazy. That is crazy. I mean, just riding up to someone and just crashing into their car. Like, and again, in the United States of America, or in America, period, how you look has nothing to do with whether you're a citizen or not. Has nothing to do with whether your family was in here in the colonial period or not. Americans that were here in the colonial period can look a few different ways. They can look African. They can look European, right? They can look Native American, which a lot of Hispanics do, because they are a lot of them, right? Some could be European descent. Some could be Native descent. Some can share that. So their looks shouldn't be the reason why you confront an American at all. Not an American. Not in North, South, not in South America, not in Central America, not in the United States of America, not in Canada. And that has something to do with our real history. So, I'm not really sure how they think they can just do this. Secondly, without a warrant, that's troublesome. That's troublesome because, again, you're just going to violate plenty of people's rights on your way just to catch a few people. Committing 50 crimes, because violating someone's rights is a crime. You can't commit 50 crimes to justify solving one. That doesn't make any sense. And that's kind of how ICE has gone about it. They have, gone after 50 crimes, violated 50 people's rights to find one person. And that is just not good at all. But in any case, here we go. Let's see here. Then we have the other thing, which this should be another telltale sign to MAGA people. Why? Here it is. Here's the evidence. Here's your people. Here are the people. I mean, even if you wanted to say, all right, maybe all elitists aren't the same, right? Maybe if you try to say, okay, well, you have some MAGA elitists and then you have some Democrat or some liberal elitists. I can't listen to some liberal elitists tell me what the truth is. Well, listen to some conservative people that got some farms, that own some farmland. I mean, you have to have some money to own this amount of farm and to be into farming. Listen to what they have to say about the person they voted for. They voted for Trump. Listen to this.
You angry?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm totally mad. There's no reason for it. This is absolute stupidity.
Now, I'm a liberal guy. I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Kamala Harris and Biden. I'm going to say I agree with this guy, even though he voted for Trump. Because why? Because he's being rational right now. He can flip and see like, wait a second, maybe I got caught up on my feelings, my emotions, and voted for Trump. Maybe he played me that time. And I could, because politicians will try to play to your emotions sometimes. But now in retrospect, when he has some practical things, he has to be a rational man. He's got to be a practical man. Otherwise, he ain't going to have a farm. It comes down to the numbers. So when this man is talking, he's talking numbers. He's talking facts on the ground, right? This man is saying, yo, he's pissed off at Trump. Does his word count?
Oh, I'm totally mad. There's no reason for it. This is absolute stupidity. This is a man-made crisis caused by Donald Trump, period.
John Bartman is a soybean farmer whose family has been working Illinois land since before the Civil War. This year, his crops diligently...
Since before the Civil War. So his family goes back to the period before the Civil War, like my family. You see? And me and him come from different parts of the country. Right? We come from two different political parties. Really, two different lifestyles. I'm not so different from, I'm not a person that sees people as being so different anyway. Just even if you're from the East Coastal area or the center, there's some things that are true to all spaces. And number one thing should be basic values and principles. Like a decent person is a decent person regardless. A good person, a good man or woman should be a good man or woman regardless of your culture. You should be able to spot a good man or woman regardless of your culture. Some things are supposed to be universal. So when I hear him speak here, to me, he's speaking facts.
Diligently planted, meticulously cared for, are losing their value.
This is a yield monitor. This allows me to see instantly what my yield is doing. So this is 4,134. So that's roughly $40,000 worth of soybeans that we have harvested. And a couple years ago, that was easily $60,000. So that's a major change. This is the economics. It's what we do in this country. We export food. And we can't do that right now.
Soybeans are the largest agricultural export from the U.S., valued at more than $24 billion last year. 52%.
The largest export, right? And 24 billion. I'm not sure. Damn, is that really the largest export, or is there some intellectual things that are larger? But in any case, I guess this must be the largest,
of which was exported to the U.S., valued at more than... Soybeans are the largest agricultural export.
Okay, agricultural export, right? Okay,
export from the U.S., valued at more than $24 billion last year, 52% of which was exported to China. But this year, soybean exports to China are down 51% compared with the same time period last year. The drop comes as China stopped buying soybeans from the U.S. and an escalating trade war. President Donald Trump insists farmers will win the trade war. Posting on Truth Social October 1st, "We've made so much money on tariffs that we are going to take a small portion of that money and help our farmers. I will never let our farmers down." John Bartman is skeptical.
Bailout's not.
It's so funny because you just have to take him at his word for that, right? You just have to take him at his word, okay? But he has no farming experience.
It's not going to do it. Bailout, unfortunately, we need the money.
Once you lose a customer.
Right. So he says the bailout is not going to do it because the bailout is not what they would have gotten if you just left them alone and let them do their business. Without the tariffs, they would have made triple the money, quadrupled the money. You see, now the bailout is just something to get them by. That's not that doesn't deal with their earnings would have been, actually. And the truth is that China is a big buyer. That was a good deal that the U.S. had. China was buying this product, 24 billion. That's the largest agricultural export. So out of the U.S. So that was a serious contract to hold on to. But Trump fucks it up like you can get a better one. Who here thinks you can get a better deal, a better buyer than China on soybeans? Just be happy to set it up. It doesn't make rational sense, though. It goes against the odds, being as though China has like 1 billion goddamn people and they like soy products. You see, everybody likes a little soy, but goddamn, $24 billion worth. It takes a big group of people to like that many soybeans. You see what I'm saying? And, it's just not going to happen. So why did Trump do it? Second thing Trump did is Trump gave the green energy market to China. He delivered the green energy market to them. He says he's combating China. Man, you capitulated on China. You just gave them a green light to control basically the green energy field, which is going to be big in the future, especially in farming. And he just, wiped his hands of it, Trump just cleared his hands of it, like nothing to do with green energy, So now that not only did he screw people on the back end, because green energy is going to come down to the machines that farmers are using, the trucks that are transporting these soybeans, all the transportation routes. You see a lot of the equipment, a lot of it, really, a lot of the stuff that was going on gas, eventually some of that stuff will be transitioned over, especially if you're a manufacturer. Because why? Because you want to sell your product, your machinery, to other countries that are also transitioning over to green energy, So that's a big market Trump just screwed the United States over with. But if you want to look at the small part of it, the beans he screwed the farmers over just on the ground, not just the future, but the now. That's very telling.
Like China, can you ever get them back?
I sincerely doubt it. Why would they?
Yeah, that's crazy. Why would they?
Mr. Trump, I'm your supporter. But I got to ask you this question, because everybody's asking it. What the fuck are you doing giving $40 billion to your buddy in Argentina? And you haven't even given the Americans any money yet. I got stimulus checks from Obama and some from Clinton and some from Biden. And I got 2 of them from Bush 43.
Okay, so does this guy sound like a biased person? Because he's saying, regardless of what party it was, he's acknowledging that he got stimulus checks from both parties over overlapping periods of time. So, and he's covering something like maybe 2.5 decades, 25 years. 30 years almost 3 decades. No, he's dealing with 3 decades, over 3 decades of time of stimulus checks. And he's like now getting to Trump and he's like, yo, Trump, what's up, dude? You've been in office 8 months. You've destroyed the farming market, right? Because on one hand, you cut off the business, the buyer, he cut off China from buying the soybeans that were already ready to go. And on the other hand, he's going around to other farms where he's chasing the farm workers off their farms. So they can't even, plant seeds, can't even grow food, harvest the food. Trump is really killing these people. And I'm just saying that. I hope some MAGA people hear me. And I hope it doesn't matter if you voted for Trump. Maybe everybody's not MAGA that voted for Trump anymore. But I hope that Republicans hear me. Listen, he is fucking you guys over big time. Like, seriously. No other American, Americans, Democrats or liberal Americans are a little pissed that you all are obsessed with people's body, obsessed with other people's right to do with what they want themselves, obsessed with abortion, a woman's right to decide, to save her life. Can she have a life-saving abortion? So many people who know little about a woman's body have voted to restrict their rights over their own body. And that's really an obsession, that I would say goes back to slavery. Like, leave people's bodies a fucking alone. Be obsessed with your own body. Stop being obsessed with the control of other people's body. But in terms of this stuff, I hope these MAGA people listen and these Republicans listen. Yo, to be honest with you, most liberals are looking back, trying to figure out why you all go for this dumb shit from Trump. Because you are one of the people that have the most to be worried and concerned about. Like, straight up, really, and it just makes me wonder, and I'm happy to see people like this question Trump, because it must not be easy for them. It's not as easy for a person that voted for Trump or for a MAGA person or a Republican to come out against Trump, because it does have something to do with that pride, like being able to admit when you made a mistake. But I think what you're seeing here is this is a man of a certain age, and yeah, he's not trying to see somebody like Trump fuck up his last years. He's not trying to see somebody steal his kids' years from them, opportunities from them. He's not going to spend the rest of his life arguing. Now, there's a lot of young people making excuses for Trump. Now, there's a lot of young people that feel like they're going to make excuses. Yo, you young people that think you're a Republican, pay attention to this man right here. He's been a lifelong Republican, and he's calling this dude out. The other guy before him, the farmer, he called Trump out.
Oh, yeah.
They're calling Trump out. This is a successful businessman who's a Republican who's calling Trump out and saying, yo, what the fuck? Now, he may not be concerned about all the things that liberals do, because a lot of liberals, I don't know, California, they got a lot of farms, though. Keep it real. California is huge. And I don't know, are they number one in agriculture? I don't know. California is a super state. They're a donor state. They generate more tax dollars, federal tax dollars, than they use. A lot of that money they generate goes to other states. So this is another person to listen to, because he's a successful businessman, and he's telling you Trump has fucked up. Trump ain't doing shit right. Now, they may not care about all the things that liberals care about. They may not care about abortion, but if you bother to look into it and learn the data and listen to the people that would know, I think you would change your mind even about abortion, because a lot of times you may not be concerned with it because you're conservative, and you may not really understand what things are like in another part of the country. But it just like maybe a lot of liberals may not understand what the farming world is about. If you live on the East Coast, we do have farms on the East Coast, though. But there's people that live in isolated communities maybe, or that don't get a chance to experience a farm or think about a farm much on the East Coast. But that's not everybody. Some people do, because we got plenty of farms, Delaware, Pennsylvania, northern Maine, for example. Connecticut got farms. Every East Coast, it's South Carolina, North Carolina, every East Coast state has farms, pretty much. You see, so there's really no excuse. But some people may not have still don't come from that area. They might come from big cities and not know about farms. But in any case, it doesn't make you right, and it doesn't make you wrong. There's always something more to learn. And in this case, this is a person who voted for Trump, a successful businessman who's saying, Trump, you just fucked our business up, man. Stop doing it, please.
There's no reason for it. This is absolute stupidity. This is a man-made crisis caused by Donald Trump, period.
John Bartman is a soybean farmer whose family has been working.
Yeah. It don't get any more simpler than a soybean farmer. I'm not saying it's not a lot to it. It requires an education. Farming, people go to school for this shit. This is a real industry. But, it just kind of shows you, though, that damn, if you could fuck up farming, think about how many other things that are even more intricate than farming require more knowledge than even farming that Trump is fucking up. I mean, Trump is fucking up a lot for a lot of people, and it makes me wonder.
Trump